guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you have landed on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to share what I have going on in my studio. So today's video, I am working on Christmas decor. Christmas decor not only to resell, but Christmas decor to use in my own house. So these are some bigger pieces, taking some odds and ends, wooden pieces, and creating just the most amazing, timeless, classic looking Christmas displays. I hope you enjoyed today's video. So I have a few boxes that have been sitting around my studio for a while, and they're all interesting in themselves. Lots of character going on, and I'm just like, you know what, I think I can create these and fit these into Christmas decor that you actually can change out and use all year long. They're just interesting pieces. Just a plain box, but look at all that patina of the wood. And this one almost reminds me of a chicken nesting box. And then we have another box that I'm not even sure what it is and if it was missing a lid or not. But the patina on these are amazing. So when I picked this one up, I immediately thought like a chicken nesting box, though I don't think that's what it was used for. I just love that it had 3 different cubby spaces. The wood I was hoping was going to clean up wonderfully. I did have a little bit of scrapage I needed to do with some mystery glue in the inside, but you'll have that. Felt like I got most of it off. It did stain the wood, but that's in the inside, not on the outside. So let's get this washed up and see what's underneath all this dirt. I'm hoping that I can actually leave this natural because I loved what the top cleaned up like. Oh, it just has some beautiful character to it. It's really pretty wood. I think that there's no reason I need to paint it. For how I'm going to put decor in it, I think it's the perfect shade. At a recent auction, I was able to pick up some vintage, primitive folk art type of Santa Clauses. So 2 of them are a chalkware that are just a beautiful. And then this one, kind of the same shape, not the exact same color, and this one's paper mache. So similar, but not exact. But I think I can fix some of the boo-boos on the chalkware, and I also think I can make the third paper mache one blend in with and make it a threesome. So the shape is there, the color's just not there, so it really sticks out. So I think I can use some of the Waverly Antiquing wax, and I think that'll be the right shade. No, it still won't be an exact match, but I think it'll be close enough to make it look like these 3 are coordinating. Now, a couple of the chalkware has some chips on it, so I'm just going to take some of the antiquing wax and see how that blends it in. I definitely think it's hiding where the chalk is showing. Now this one looks like somebody had tried to fix it by using black. I'm just choosing to use brown, more of a coordinating color. And this cubby is a great display piece because you have 3 different cubbies you can style up. You have the space on the top where you can put some more decor. Oh, I just love it. So now that I have my 3 Santas drying, I'm going to start adding some greenery in. It's the holidays. It's that time, and there's just something about greenery. And I bought greenery this year from RAGON House, which is a wholesale company. I do have a little bit for sale on my eBay if you're interested. I had many asked last time I used it. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, these are some smaller stems that the stem itself makes it a little awkward. I know a lot of people bend them over. I just always choose to cut them off. I didn't say cutting them off was an easy task. Doing some bending back and forth to get through that hard plastic to get to the wire is another task, but that's okay. I like to cut my stems off if I can. So now we're going to go ahead and start filling up. I cut 6 off for right now to lay them on either side. I love the mix of this greenery. It's a variance there. I think it may be a cedar or just a different type of fir. I don't know. And even though they're plastic pine cones, they look really real. So that is a nice filler right there. So we're going to grab the Santas. We're going to take a peek to see how those look. Oh, look at how cute they are. And I know they're a little bit taller than the cubbies. I could have flipped it the other way, but you don't have as much space on the top. And then you flip it the other way, then it covers up more of the Santa. You know, it's okay that their hats are sticking up a little bit. Now, I like to cup. I want my greenery to cup around the Santa a little bit. So instead of leaving it flat, I'm just going to bend that wire. I love wire because you can bend it. And then that'll just cup around the Santa a little bit more. So if all the little hats are going to be sticking out, I just feel like I should hide that dead space with another piece of the greenery. So I'm going to leave this one a little bit taller. That way it gives it some height behind. But I am going to cut a little bit of the bottom off. If you've ever seen some of the stems, this one has like markings where kind of like cut marks, I guess. So I'm just cutting the last one off so that it stays a little bit taller to just peek behind the Santa. Oh, I am so loving this, but I want to add a third element, and these are actually thrifted berries. These are more of like a deep burgundy color, so they kind of do accentuate the burgundy on the one Santa, so I think that they will coordinate perfectly. It just gives that third visual to this little cubby box that I think it needed. For these, I'm not actually just cutting the stem off the bottom. I'm actually cutting it into 2. I'm finding that center part, cutting that off, and then I'm finding that on the bottom, and then I can cut the excess off. That way I'm getting 2 off of one stem, so I could use them on both sides. The one thing about being a thrifter is you're always able to find unusual pieces. Like this Santa. I love this. I actually used it in my own decor for many years, and now it's time to recycle it into something different. So it's really red. I just thought, how cute would that be sitting on top of that shelf? So same thing, going back to that Waverly antiquing wax, just to tone down so the red isn't so bright. This is an MDF board type of signage, so it should soak it right in. And I actually don't want it to turn completely brown. I just want the red to tone down, and I want to give it a little bit of age. There's just something about candles and lights this time of year, and I thrifted this grungy candle for a couple bucks, and I was blessed that it still works, because sometimes, you never know if they're really going to work or not, but score, it worked. But I do want to sit it on top of something, so I went to my stash, looked to see what type of tin that this would fit into, but the tin needs a little bit of work. Yes, something had been glued in there, and the glue residue was left behind, which then took off the rusty paint, but that's okay. I can always repaint something. I'm never worried about that. But after scraping it all off, I want to get rid of those scrape marks as best as I can just by taking a little bit of steel wool and making sure that it's smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of the Fusion's Coal Black just to paint the bottom of this, just to get it freshened up. I like the fluted side. I don't want to change that rusty patina that it's got going on, which is, it's a paint job from the manufacturer, but I still like the color. After it dried, I'm just going to take some more steel wool. I don't mind if it takes a little bit of the paint off. I just want to get rid of any brush marks. I probably should have squirted it a little bit with the Mr. Borrow water, but I didn't remember that until I was editing this. You know how that's how that works. And then we'll just get it dusted off, and then I'm going to take some of the Jolie's black wax to blend up those sides to make it not look like it was a manufacturer spray job. And then the black wax will tie in the black bottoms with the sides. So I fell in love with this box when I saw it at an estate sale, though I didn't actually purchase it because they wanted 40 bucks for it. But it was there when I went back on the last day, and at the 75% off tag sale on the estate sale, I was going to take it home with me. I don't know what it was for. I don't know if it was supposed to have a lid. I don't see any places for hinge marks, but I could have just envision putting decor inside of it and just giving this box new life. And I don't believe the white stuff is paint. It's just some type of a haze, or like the top coat or a wax or something turned hazy. But I'm just going to go ahead and give it a bath. I don't think it's going to wash off by any means, but I am going to go ahead and paint this piece. So I envision a very chippy look. So I'm going to go with Sweet Pickins Flour Sack Milk Paint to paint this piece. So it's equal parts powder to equal parts water. Mix the two together, let it thicken, and then we can paint away. So I have it setting it off to the side, letting it thicken for a few minutes. I'm going to rub candle wax. I've already taped off the box. The inside and the bottom are going to be left the natural wood. They were unpainted already. But I'm going to rub candle wax on the entire piece because, as I said, I want a really chippy, old-timey look on this piece. And then I'm just going to rub it all over. I'm not going to just hit or miss. I'm just going to go everywhere. So I just set my box off to the side, let it dry. Don't want to add any heat to that wax, that's for sure. So just let it dry naturally. Now I'm going to work on what I'm going to put in the inside. And I envisioned a hymnal wreath. I love making these wreaths. They're one of my best sellers. They're a classic look. And the nice thing about some of the decor I'm doing, the main pieces you can definitely use past the Christmas season. Though this book didn't have its cover when I picked it up at a free pile at a sale, I need to cut it off the the binding. So if you try to rip it, the pages will just rip. So all I do is just take a ruler and an X-Acto knife and work my way down through the book to cut the pages off. Now I'm using a wreath form from the Dollar Tree store. This is a smaller size. I don't know the inches by any means, but my pages are still too big, so I need to cut them in half. So all I do, fold it, give it a little crease, and then I can go ahead and cut it in half. And after I've creased so many of them, I realize that they're 8 inches and I can cut them down to 4 without having to crease it. But you know, it's neither this or that. I just need to get them in half so they're smaller pieces. This wreath may be time consuming, but it is not hard by any means. So all I have is a paintbrush. I'm just wrapping that paper around like I was going to ball it up and throw it into the trash. A little bit of hot glue, put the hot glue on the side. You know, you're starting to build up here, and then just let that hot glue sit for 10-15 seconds or so until it's kind of bonded with the foamy. It's a hard foam from the Dollar Tree store. But yeah, that's all you do. And then you just keep building it up until you have this amazing outer ring. Who would have thought a whole bunch of crinkled up pieces of paper would start making a beautiful wreath? So now I'm going to cut my paper in half. I don't need the full ones. If I did the full ones in the center, they would all be touching. It'd kind of be a hot mess. So I just cut them in half. And it's the same process. I fold it over, I give it a little crease, and then for these, I just going to go ahead and cut them with the scissors. We're just eyeballing it. This wreath is so forgiving. Even if you don't get it just half or just quartered, it doesn't really even matter. Then after I get my center part, it really does start to go much faster because you don't really have to hold it as long waiting for the glue just to set a little bit because you have the backing of the paper to hold it in place. So now I go in between on my next lines, I go in between variegating the pieces of paper so it really fills in and hides that green foam. Now I can start working on my box again now that it's dry. I did 2 coats of paint, making sure that everything was covered. And now all I'm doing is taking like a spackling, metal spackling, and then scraping it off. Whatever didn't stick because of the candle wax will come off easily. And I've learned, you know, a vacuum kind of helps get a lot of it at that time. You still have a lot of chippy paint to vacuum up at the end, but this box was amazing how it chipped. The thing with milk paint is even the candle wax, you're not necessarily positive how much chippiness or how little chippiness you're going to get. And this box went extremely chippy on me, but I love it. So I don't necessarily want my white to be white, bright. I want to give it a little bit of age, a little bit of dirt by adding some of the Fusion's antiquing glaze. Now it'll look brown at first. I'm just going to go ahead and apply it right on there. But then I'm going to take some of the Homestead clear wax and rub a little bit of it off and really blend it in to give it that I've been here a long time paint job. So I know there's another element I have to create before putting my little vignette together. I have this old chalkboard that I'm going to put a little bit of signage in. And I'm not worried. I know that I'd be able to take the paint off if I wanted to just by soaking it with some water. But anyway, I'm looking at some old-timey sayings for Christmas, and I thought, "Come ye all faithful" would be perfect. I love the font, I love the wording, I love the swirliness. I just need to measure out what I need to cut out with my Cricut. Now, I probably could have gone a hair smaller. I mean, my wording is going to go from edge to edge, and I needed to play with a couple of the corners a little bit to get them on there, but I wanted it to fit on the entire chalkboard. I didn't keep my box extremely white, so I don't want my wording to be that bright white. So I'm just going to use Fusion's Cashmere color for my lettering. And I just always prefer using a makeup sponge from the Dollar Tree store, the dry technique where you put a little bit of paint on, take a lot of the paint off. That way it doesn't accidentally bleed underneath. Now I can start playing around. I can see how the things that I've created are going to fit inside this box. And I was hoping that I didn't make this wreath too big. But I didn't want it to be flat. I wanted it to be a nice tight fit in there that it didn't move around, and I love it. I could have went with lighter paper, but I like that dark paper. It just had my heart. I picked up this rusty, crusty manufactured rusty crusty colored star, and I thought, oh, look at the two of them together. And then I have a beeswax Santa Claus that I actually picked out knowing I wanted to put him in this box. Okay, those are the three elements I knew that I wanted. This is just my tester. Let me look, see how everything goes. I want to add some greenery. I know I have all these neutrals going on, and I really want to add a pop of greenery. So I'm going to use this little, it was probably from an oil lamp, kerosene lamp, I think. I don't know. It was just a part that came in something but I needed like some kind of a dish to hold some of the greenery for some height so you could see it behind that star, and that's perfect. I can tuck it in right back there. The greenery can kind of hang out. I needed that kind of a vase. So we're going to add a couple of them in. I think one wasn't quite enough. I just always go with my eyeball, and if my eyeball says it's not enough and I need more, then I go ahead and I add more. But I like how that green is popping the neutral of the wreath and the brown of that star. Look at how it's just tucked in behind there, just adding that touch of Christmas. But of course, it's a box. It's kind of deep. It's kind of dark in there. So we want to see in there. And I love these battery operated fairy lights. I love that you don't have to worry about a plug. You can stick them anywhere. I just buy extra batteries when I buy them. Oh, I just love, there's something about lights this time of year that are just so warming in a little vignette like this. I do want a little bit more greenery, so I have a couple smaller stems to put on the sides to stick out. This is just really all coming together. I ended up using a total of 3 fairy lights and I think 5 greenery stems to really make this pop. So I got this little guy. Okay, so he's not so little, but the snowman at an auction. He missing his broom or whatever he was holding. It's going to be a broom later. And he has some scrapes here and there, but I'm not too worried about that. And I did not pay $35 for him by any means, but oh, he is so super plump. I love him. Will say when I saw him at the auction and I bid on him, it was because I knew I probably had a doll and I probably had something I can replace in that hole that he should be holding something. So this dowel rod is a perfect fit, though it's a little bit too long, so I'm going to have to cut it down. So I'm going to go ahead and make him a mark, but then I'm like, oh, well, that mark might be a little high. I might want to go down a little bit lower because I want to like add the straw for the broom itself. So I'm just going to take my Japanese saw, one of my go-to cutting tools, and then just go ahead and cut the part off that I don't need. Because I remembered during the Halloween crafting season at the Dollar Tree store, I had picked up these brooms. So I'm like, hey, I have the perfect stash to be able to recreate a broom for him. Just want the straw part of it. Of course, the base is not thick enough to reuse. It's more of a witch's broom than a snowman's broom. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. I just want that straw part. And they're a little bit long, and I want my broom to be kind of full, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them in half using scissors, and boy, can they fly when you're cutting them in half. That I've chased down all my pieces of straw. I had no idea they were going to fly every time. I just put a little bit of hot glue on the outside, just working in small little sections, and I'm going to go ahead and work around the dowel. I have the whole outer of the dowel covered in the little straw pieces. I'm going to wrap just this simple black velvet just to look like it's tying it on. My straw pieces are much too long, I believe. I think it was just they were too long, but they were easier to hold gluing them down to have them that long. So I switched over to my nips, and because actually the straw was harder to cut with scissors than I thought, and they're actually not flying quite as much, but I'm going to use some of those smaller pieces to stick with a little bit of hot glue in the center so that's not a bare space. Antiquing wax to the rescue again. All these little scrapes and boo-boos on this guy. I'm just getting that antiquing wax in there, and then I'll just take a rag and wipe off the excess, and it just made them vanish. I'm going to go ahead and take the antiquing wax on the broom also. That's going to color that dowel a little bit so it doesn't look so dowel-y. And then also on the straw pieces themselves so they're not so Halloween-y, that it just has that primitive rustic look. I don't know about you all, but I have a thing for old wood boxes, these crate boxes. I don't care if there's brokenness. I don't care. I just love the patina. I love the age. I love the rusty, crusty nail. Though I'm going to hammer a few of them down so that somebody doesn't get hurt. But I just love these boxes. And I believe I picked this one up for $5 at an auction. That was the lowest price that they went. And it was in one of the barns. But I knew that I could clean it up, get it vacuumed out first, and then we'll take a rag and we'll wipe it down, making sure that it's not gross to handle. After my box is dry, now I can start creating with it. It's definitely that perfectly imperfect of a box. But I want to, yeah, I do. I want to put the snowman in the box this way. Though he'd be a little bit short, so I need to rise him up. So I have this riser that I've had hanging around forever, it seems like. But it's just the perfect piece of wood to rise him up on. I just think he's so super super cute inside this box. But I want to surround him with some of this greenery. This greenery I bought, other greenery I bought wholesale from Reagan House. These were a bush type of greenery stems. But I need to put some floral foam because I want to use as little stems as I can but make it full. So cutting them apart really works well doing that. But I need to fill in the bottle with some of the bottom with some of the Dollar Tree floral foam and pack it in there nice and tight so it doesn't shift around. Oh, how cute is that snowman in those bushes? Anyway, I picked up this wreath at one of my local antique malls, my weekly trips to my local antique mall. I'm always searching. I think it was like $8. But I bought it because it had these vintage bottle brush trees on there. I don't know why, but I'm like, oh, $8. This, not $2 a piece. That's well worth it. And I get a wreath and I get some of these snowballs, which the snowballs are perfect to add into this display. If you do not follow my Journey channel, you should check out Ginger Chick The Journey, where I go to antique malls, I go to auctions, I show all the stuff that I find over on that channel, along with some of the behind the scenes, some home decor setups. If you are new to this channel and you haven't checked out our other channel that we just recently started, I'd love to have you pop over there and see if you're interested in those kind of things. So kind of like adding the berries in greenery, I'm adding the snowballs into greenery. I don't know if this was part of the original wreath to begin with. They're wired in, but they are perfect. And so I'm just going to cut them down. They're a little bit worse for wear on the wreath itself, I feel, but perfect to cut down and fill in the display. Give that pop of creamish berry, but as a snowball, it really ties in with Frosty here. And what a score for bottle brush trees, a wreath, and extra snowball berries to use later on. But I do think we need some lights, so let's add some of these fairy lights. You know, you can buy bulk fairy lights on Amazon. Like, I don't know, they're almost like $1 a piece when you buy them bulks. I think it was more, it was even less than that, but love adding lights to this. But I do feel like I need a signage. So I have this older piece of wood. I'm not going to do any pops of color or putting a ribbon around the box. I'm just going to do a simple sign. I just searched snowman and the snowballs came up, though that is way too big for the piece of wood that I'm using. I'm just going to type out snowball. I'm just going to find a font that is similar. I like that font on there. To this and then print that out. I do like the little 5-cent kind of, like the 5 for 25 cents, but that's too much wording on that small piece of wood. I'll probably just do 5 cents. Now I do need to add some type of a hanging system to this little sign. It's little and it's not very thick, so I'm just measuring off. I'm going to like go like an inch in and then just eyeball to pre-drill some holes and then use some black wire to hang it. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and did I have your heart? I just love not only sharing littles and painting things, but I love to share how I put them together, my thought process of why, and why did I do this, why did I paint this, why did I put all this together. And it's nice to do something on a little bit bigger scale, though not something I can ship really, but it is nice to share the process with you all. So give me a quick comment down below. Did you enjoy today's video? Have I inspired you to go out looking in your stash and going, well, what wooden pieces do I have that I can create the cutest little vignettes? And you know, you can change them out. You didn't glue anything in. You don't have to just keep Christmas in there. You can change the decor out for every season. So thanks again for watching. And if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you stayed to the end of the video and you like this kind of content, hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know we've uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye.